my government vaccine project is based on sports medicine in the medical field. So basically, all my life I've been playing sports, as much as people have, and the big area that I've had a real interest in is something that occurs to me a lot is injuries, and just being able to learn how to treat those injuries. And I've had several injuries from head to toe, concussions, leg sprains, ankle sprains, all that. And really, what got me interested in this topic was just my love for sports and being able to help people with similar injuries that I've experienced. So what I went into in the research part was prosthetic use in athletics. Now, normally there is a Paralympics for para-disabled people, and what I focused on mainly was prosthetic use in actual Olympics. Now, this was a big thing in 2012 when Oscar Pistorius ran in the Olympics with his disabled legs. So, my main points were trying to see if they were actually able to compete, if they had any advantage, or if there is some way that they are manufacturing these prosthetics to benefit them. So one interesting topic was the ankle that they had. It's made of carbon fiber, and it actually gives 70% more energy absorption than a normal ankle, and this dissipates less energy than the traditional ankle. And in this picture, this is a 3D print of a prosthetic leg, and you can see there's the bone structure there, muscle there, and the heel. So, and this leads me into my mentor for both my community service and my internship. She is Ann Goodson, nurse educator at Martha Jefferson Hospital in Charlottesville, Virginia. And yeah, she was great. She wasn't there all the time because education of nurses not a scheduled thing. She's all over the hospital at all times. So my internship was mainly online, and it consisted of modules that I had to do to actually be able to come into the hospital and be there and actually know what I was supposed to do. So these are all the modules I had to do, and this is an example of one of the modules. They were slides that you had to read. There were videos that I will show you in a moment, and at the end there was a test that you had to pass, and you had to email them the results. And if you finished all the modules, completed all the tests, you were able to volunteer. So I will show you. Yeah.
Welcome to the Hospital Accident Prevention course. This module has audio, which speakers or a headset are required to hear. You're going to be working in a facility that treats a large number of patients, and regardless of your role, it can be a busy and hazardous place for you and others. Therefore, it's imperative that you understand the potential risks within your workplace, recognize hospital signage you may need to respond to, recognize lockout and tagout devices, and understand patient ID requirements.
Okay, so that was the introduction to the module shown here. This is for all the modules. They are basically the same, not on the same topic, but the same gist. So that was the main thing. And once I finished all these modules and were able to actually get into the hospital, that's when my community service started, where I worked in Window 2 Hall. It was a physical therapy hall for physical therapy patients at Martha Jefferson. And my job, although I would have preferred much more in-depth job, was keep the patients happy with water, food, and to supply the nurses with their glove boxes and their wipes. Although, since I couldn't technically work with any patients because I was a minor. So this is a picture of me stacking towels for the nurses and the patients. I also did trash duty. There were about 30 or so residence for the patients. And I went up and down 2 halls that I was assigned and took the trash out and put it into the trash bins for the linen. Now these are the carts that I use to haul everything, such as the water and the ice and such. So it was very good to have these around. So what I learned in this project was that I was able to actually effectively talk with people that I had no clue who were there in the first place. Martha Jefferson has a thing where you have to say hi to people as you walk by. So it really helped me be more sociable in workplaces rather than just walking around saying nothing and just doing your job. Another thing is that in the hospital you have to be very prompt with what you're doing. If it's calling out, emailing, if you're going to be late, just being there on time. Otherwise, it really is important in that. And another aspect is time management, because trying to juggle this internship and community service and all the other things, sports included, and my other work for classes. So my future plans will either attend Randolph-Macon College or Roanoke College to pursue a sports medicine degree and hopefully go on to a post-secondary school. Also, I would like to thank Ms. Ann Goodson. Again, she was my mentor. Gwen Valiani and Renee Walker, who was a volunteer head of Martha Jefferson, and she was really helpful in letting me get into the process.
Was it like, what was the most difficult part about trying to meet the patients?
Just letting them understand what I do. There was one lady, she was an older lady, and I kept asking her if she wanted water, and she could not understand me. So eventually I had to learn to just point at cups so I could actually just show them what I was doing, and then they would. And this one lady, I got the water for her after she recognized I was pointing at the cup. And then I went back and I asked her, did she want any ice? And then she answered, oh yeah, that'd be great. After the first time I asked. So, yes.
What was your research paper about?
It was focused around the prosthetic in athletics and how the prosthetic uses are possibly how they aid athletes to become a better athlete or super able them.
Did you have any experience at your time at the hospital with any of the prosthetics section in there at all? Were you able to like see in the room? Were you able to see where they size them? Were you able to get involved in that at all?
Unfortunately, there was a different hall to the prosthetics. I was working in the physical therapy. Okay. It was more of after surgery. They still had their legs intact, and they were trying to get back to use. But I did not see any of that. I was not able to see any patients like that.
And what is your thoughts with regards to, say, Oscar Pistorius being able to compete in the Olympics? Do you think it gives him an advantage to do that? I mean, he didn't win a medal.
My research has shown that some develop a advantage, but it kind of depends on what happens in it's like every race. Somebody can lose or win any time. It's at any sport, but it gives them a solid advantage because of the lack of energy, like dissipation in their legs. Because when you normally run, your ankle and your knee give out energy, and it only keeps a fraction. I think like 20-something% of it. But with the prosthetic, it is shown, like I said before, the ankle gives up to 70% absorption, only 30% dissipation. The knee also gives around like 65 to 50%, so that's a clear advantage. I looked specifically at leg. Yeah.
On the picture of the 3D printed prosthetic they showed us, was that, do you know if that was actually a functioning prosthetic or?
That was an actual prosthetic. You can actually walk on that. Yes. No, it was just shaped. Yeah, so it's made to mirror the other leg.
Is track the only sport you've been able to find that has prosthetics involved in the athletes? For instance, baseball. Could baseball player have a prosthetic leg, or do you have research showing where anyone's using one worldwide?
I have some examples. There was one soccer player, I believe, that tried, and one basketball player. But the only problem with the contact sports is if it, pops off or displacement, it's really hard to get back into it. So they're still trying to figure out the contact sport. But there was definitely one for basketball that had a prosthetic leg and was able to. Okay, so traditionally there's always been like a socket type prosthetic where you just like slip it on. Now they are developing a in-bone surgical process to actually attach your prosthetic leg completely to your leg, so it's not like something you take off and on. It's called osseointegration. And what happens is they insert a metal rod into your, if you just have a lower leg prosthetic, you get it into the hip, and you surgically input it in there, and then you have a ball joint that is attached, and it attaches the lower leg, and basically it's a more secure prosthetic. It's allowed this age of prosthetics in athletics to be able.
And thank you for asking that, because that's the kind of stuff that I want to hear about with your presentation. That's the stuff that makes it interesting, because that's something that I don't know about. So make sure that going forward, I would make sure to bring that up. That's a really interesting point.
Raleigh, how did your experience in the hospital impact your future plans, if at all?
I really
And
used
be
it
detailed
as
about
like
that.
a stepping stone to see if I really wanted to go into that.
Yeah.
So it was a very enjoyable experience, and I think I will probably pursue that goal.
Yeah. I know you said you were interested in, injuries and that type of thing with athletics because of your personal experience. Are you also interested in, doing something and working with people with prosthetics?
That's more physical therapy. I don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in that realm.
Okay.
Just a observation. You did have to go through a lot of computer-based training to get into the hospital, and unfortunately, being a minor didn't allow you to see certain things that you might have been able to see otherwise. But don't discount the skills that you learn, the fundamental skills of caring for another person. Because if you decide to be a doctor, physical therapist, those skills will help you no matter what you do in healthcare. So that's it.
Did your research show like any effects on the body for people who had prosthetics? Like, did it show any like effects that came from having it attached to other parts of the body? Like, do you have a leg, would it affect your back or your other leg or your arms?
If it was malfunctioning, you would have a problem in your leg where it's implanted, but it doesn't. I don't think it really affects